The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook, download their top-rated app, and use promo code RTRS. And brought to you by By Nature Pet Food. Made with Superfusion and Slow Cook. Get 20% off your first order of By Nature at Chewy.com by using promo code RTRS20. And brought to you by the sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter, Stateside Vodka. Get yours at statesidevodka.com. On the show today, it feels so familiar. A Sixers win with much consternation during it. Sixers beat the Wizards in the opener. We'll talk about that. Our latest reading of the James Harden tea leaves, how much money Daryl Morey might save the Sixers, and Daryl Morey's daughter, Karen, wants to make some Sixers documentaries and is looking for ideas. I think this could be this one right here. Before we get going, if you're listening to this podcast, you can watch it as well. Do you want to watch us talk? With neat graphics, you can do it. Subscribe to YouTube. If you're watching YouTube, 60% of the people watching aren't subscribed. We need to get that number down. Smash that subscribe button right here.
I feel like I should say that I don't think that you need to smash the subscribe button.
Smash
just
it.
One host thinks you should smash it. The other host thinks you should just listen because it's a podcast.
Give us the likes and smash that subscribe button. Leave us a comment. All right. And there's a new Carl Landry Record Club pod out right now. We talk about Liz Phair's Exile in Guyville, Gems Finally Woken, and Bad Books is 2. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Next week, a 2-hour pod of the best music of 2020 with me, Mutlu, AU, and Jason Lipschutz. Just subscribe wherever you get your podcast, the Carl Landry Record Club. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin along with a guy. Is he my wife? Is he my daughter? No one knows. That's Mike Levin.
We're back.
We are. Feels
like
home. Feels like home.
Daryl Morey comes in.
Mm-hmm.
He is, doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's vibing hard. We bring in Doc. He's doing his thing. We get new players.
He's tweeting.
All those assistant coaches, fancy ones, names you've heard of.
Yep.
Former rivals.
Yep.
And they're still the Sixers.
Yep.
No matter what they do. They put on the jersey. They put on the friggin' polo or whatever. And they're the Sixers. And it is a force more powerful than anything they've ever encountered before in their lives. And welcome to them.
We're in crunch time. Oh, look, there's Ben in the dunker spot. Here we are. So I want to start off with the very beginning of the game as Ben and Joel, the two most unhappy bell ringers, I think, in the history of bell
What are you
ringing.
ringing the bell for with no fans there? Come on.
I respect them going all out, even though, because you know what?
Yes,
Here's
there's no
what
good options.
Yeah, because eventually, if in May or whatever there are fans there, I guess it's good for the entire pregame crew to have been ramped up and going. I guess I don't know. I don't know. I think we got to start. I want to start with a good thing. And I want to start with Shake Milton. We good with that?
Sure.
So, he was, down the stretch, it was pretty clear that it was him and Joel that were not only the most important players on the floor in terms of the offense, but I think the most willful and confident as well.
They both played the whole fourth quarter.
Yeah, and they, like Shake did not look out of sorts or out of place at any time.
Nope.
And, there were moments last year where, because his handle isn't super tight, he would get harassed and would look a little iffy in those situations. But he was super important, and it was the ball in his hands, for the last 5 minutes of the game. And he was excellent. And I know, and we're going to go through this over and over, and maybe you'll change your mind if the offense continues to struggle with that starting lineup. But I know it's the closing lineup that counts, but the points at the beginning of the quarters count too. And, they're not always going to look like this, but it is striking having a guy who can shoot and dribble competently with the starting lineup, how different it makes it, and I think it would be better if he was there at the beginning of the game and the beginning of the second half. I really do. He was great. And it doesn't look like he was a flash in the pan or anything like that. It looks like he's legitimately good. And he's going to be an important player this year.
Yeah, you're not going to get me to care about the starting lineup. Whatever they want to do is fine.
But hold on. It's not just, it would be one thing if I was saying, hey, these are the names they put on the marquee. I know that doesn't matter. But when the starting lineup struggles offensively because they don't have anybody who can do what he does, I think that's meaningful. It's not like just they're putting a center out there. You know what I mean? It's not like we're going to start this guy, this center, for 3 minutes, but then we're going to not play him again the whole rest of the game. I don't know. It just seems like they're missing that skill set pretty obviously in the start.
Yeah, I mean, I think Seth played pretty well. I don't
Definitely
think he was bad.
half.
I think he's definitely slow and small, which makes it harder to get his shot off. He had a floater tonight. I think that's going to be very necessary, because if he stops to pull up, guys are pretty easily able to catch up to him. And he certainly can't finish over or through or really around anybody. So it's going to have to be able to just hit shots at sort of that middle distance to get where he needs to get. But just him being on the floor is good. Yeah, look, I love Shake. I think it should also be mentioned that he covered Bradley Beal for most of the fourth quarter and a lot of the game. That's a huge vote of confidence.
Yeah. And didn't look bad. Yeah, you can't guard.
I mean, Beal's
Bradley
incredible.
Beal.
Beal's an incredible offensive player, and he's going to get where he wants. But I thought it looked pretty good on him. Running pick and roll crunch time in the last minute. Drawing contact, not just driving in and getting whacked or anything, but drawing the contact on. It was Isaac Bonga, who's a good defender, but obviously not a veteran type of player. But Shake forcing the issue and getting that call is huge and got to the line. And we said on the podcast before, but people are selling out on his three. He had a couple threes early, and then that just allows him to pump and go. And it's just, he's great. He's on the best contract in the league, probably.
So we have both on the team.
We have both best contracts in the league.
Well, I was going to say
Tobias.
I
would say that the other thing about Shake is he seems to be very smart. I don't necessarily he plays at his own pace. Obviously, that's the most noticeable thing you get when you watch him. The shot is consistent, and he's using that to his advantage. But he doesn't play. He's not incredibly smart with the ball in his hands always. I'm not wowed by him manipulating the defense or whatever quite yet. I think he's on the road to being better at that. But what I've been really impressed by is him on out of bounds plays. It seems like he really sees the court well, both when he's the inbounder and also cutting to the ball. He's great. I love him. When he gets a pick and roll and he either goes behind if they go behind the screen, or he's driving going left with the rolling big. It's you just got to pick your poison. And it's so nice to have a pick your poison player on our team where, he's got to get stronger. He's got to be able to finish inside more. It'd be nice if he dunked a couple times so he's not having to
Yeah.
lay it up softly and stuff. But there's just really a lot to like about his game. And, he's a plus 33. He's very, very important to this team. He's probably the third most important player on the team. It's really nice, and it's what a gift it is that they lucked into this guy in the late second round that they didn't trade up for. It's not like they were like, okay, we'll draft Landry Shamet and we'll like go and get this guy because he's available because we love him. They stayed put at whatever 54 that they were at.
Well, and also nice that we didn't lose him in some roster crunch because he didn't look good right away. You know.
And they didn't have Stauskas and Okafor to make sure that they had a roster spot for. It's just really I'm very happy on the team. I want to just give him more money. Like Tobias should just be like, here's $10 million. Like Tobias should if Tobias was as good of a guy as we're led to believe he is, he should give Shake $10 million. He should televise it. We should be able to watch. It needs to be like an event series. He has to. Like I'll let Tobias like decide if he wants to do it on his own. But if he doesn't decide within the next like couple weeks, I'm going to like show up at his door and be like, Tobias, give Shake $10 million.
Yeah. It's like Maxey has to go get the food orders and Tobias has to go get $10 million for Shake before they screw him.
It's not like Tobias, like he's making $34 million. All right, let's talk about Tobias. So over the course of the past couple of days, I forget when it was, Doc was like, we just need him making quicker decisions, not getting into I think he says like his like Tobias plays. And it's like calling the plays that we don't want you to do Tobias plays or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Remarkable. Like, dog, he's so bad. He's so bad. He's not bad at 34 million. He's bad at like the mid level. Like he's awful. And maybe he like gets back to where he was, like whatever. But like right now, these 3 games that we've seen him play this season have been so bad in so many ways. He had 3 drives in a row at one point. Charge, missed floater, short by about 1.5 feet. Charge. And he had a missed putback dunk that he tried to do with one hand, like over the like cartoonishly missed. Everything is so they didn't like give him the ball in his hands that much, but every time he got it, it was like he's doing the, Carmelo 2006 stuff. He did take a couple quick threes. Great. But he missed them because he's not a good catch and shoot player. Like the thing that he's best at this point is helping guys off the floor when they fall down. And that's a nice skill. I'm sure it's great for morale. Very helpful. But like, I mean, $35 million a year. I would like someone that can do a little bit more. And I just, here's the good news is remarkable thing that they gave him that much money, and I'll never get over it. The good thing is
quicker decisions. Each year for the next 3 years, his salary is going to go up.
That's right.
Yeah. So
quicker decisions. We just need to teach this guy's brain to be better.
Well,
when he plays.
So he is a pretty
ninth year in the league. Maybe he'll learn. What the fuck?
If we back it up a bit, he's a pretty good player. I don't think so anymore at this point. Well, but okay. So he's had 2 preseason and this really bad games. I think it's possible that he is aware of, there are some players in the league now, in the history of the league, that have been way overpaid and probably truly don't give a fuck. Fuck it. I don't care. I earned it, whatever. I think there's probably something going on in his mind where I would imagine he is like, what's the word I'm looking for? Stressing isn't the word, but like, I imagine everybody
is. Everybody's got that at all time. Don't make me feel bad for him.
No. I'm just explaining, like, I almost want to just forget about him and maybe he'll at least get back into being normal, because I do think he could be a helpful player, but he looks as bad as he's looked since he's been here. I mean, just terrible, just completely. Everything takes long, everything. And it's all wrong and none of it works. He does look terrible. Absolutely terrible. I agree.
I'm going to posit a totally insane, like a thing that you're going to hate. You're absolutely going to hate it. You're going to hate it. You're going to be so mad. And this is unsubstantiated. It's unverified. It's pure speculation because I'm like watching him is absolute torture. I think he got COVID over the summer. I think his brain is different. Like he's absolute. It's so evident. Like something is not right. It's wrong. Like it's just all wrong. And if that's the case, I feel worse. I feel bad that I am going so hard at him, but holy shit. It is really, truly torturous. Watching him, he is quickly vaulting up the rankings. Like, obviously, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Everybody likes him. He's a great guy. I love him. Tobias is the best guy. He's so important to the community. He's so helpful. And loves the rookies. And oh, what a nice thing. But like, it is shocking watching him play, seeing how utterly useless he is in multiple ways all the time. I'm so glad that he wasn't on the podcast ever, so that I don't have to feel like we can't say it.
And by the way, here's the truth is that being a good guy is wonderful until you suck. And then it doesn't matter anymore.
Or be a good guy on the bench.
Yeah.
Like if,
here's the worst.
If B-Ball Paul, my guy B-Ball Paul Reed was a great guy and like never made it, like wasn't like a really NBA player, was on a two-way and like barely played and came in crunch time and sucked. To be like, oh, that's so much fun.
Justin Anderson.
Great. Totally fine.
Yeah.
Be a great guy, but you can't be a great guy and be in the starting lineup and suck.
The worst part about him or his existence is that all this talk, and we'll get to the Harden stuff later, but the reason that they are in a position to potentially have to trade their second best player, Shake Milton, their second best player, Ben Simmons, is because of the Tobias trade and subsequent contract. Because they do not have a cap slot. Like they are at the cap with those three guys. They don't have a cap slot really for a third high level player because of Tobias Harris and that contract being there. And it's untradeable. And they traded 2 first-round picks, Shake Milton, and 2 second-round picks to get him. Yeah. What did I say?
Shake. Yeah.
And Landry Shamet for him.
Who is still with the organization that made the decision to trade for Tobias Harris and sign him to the biggest contract in Sixers history?
Well, they're like the 6th biggest contract in like NBA history, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Who do you know who is still there? I need to. There's been too many iterations of this team that I can't remember.
Well, Elton and Ned, but Ned didn't have anything to do with it. So I don't know who made the trade. I
need some leaks about it. I need people to leaking about, like, blame someone. It's fine. But I need people to be leaking that like they had nothing to do with it. And like I want Ned Cohen talking to like Tim McMahon and telling him like I've never even met Tobias. Like I don't even know the guy. I don't know who he is. I need that.
Yeah.
I want, and I honestly, like, let's pin the Tobias Harris, like let's pin the Tobias deal on like Howie Roseman and just like get them both, like just get them out, just like get them out. Please go.
Well, Clentak. I mean,
that's fine. Clentak also great. Get them out, everybody. Oh my god.
I imagine. So the real quick Corner 3 newsletter comes out tomorrow. I imagine.
I love Zoe.
Zoe is all over Tobias tonight.
Please.
So something tells me that Christmas Eve Corner 3 is going to be full of Tobias.
I read the newsletter every morning when I go to the bathroom for the first time. I sit there. I sit for a long time. I obviously stay seated while I wipe, and I read the newsletter first thing in the morning, and it's great. So subscribe, right? SirikiSanchez.com/newsletter. If you were subscribed before, I think it was last week. And I feel like Zoe knows that I read it while I'm shitting. I think he knows. I think
that's why he writes for
that. That's right. Yeah.
If you were part of the newsletter, we gave out, I think, 154 pound bags of By Nature pet food just to try it on the newsletter. So subscribe at SirikiSanchez.com/newsletter. It is brought to you by Stateside Vodka, distilled 7 times, gluten-free, kosher, carb-free, fucking delicious, great for the holidays. Pick it up on Christmas Eve for the holidays, for New Year's Eve. You're gonna be sitting home anyway. Made right here in Philly. You can get it delivered anywhere in PA or DC, or you can pick it up curbside at statesidevodka.com or your local PA Wine and Spirits. You must be 21 to enjoy. Please drink responsibly. Stateside Vodka. What do you want to do next, Ben or Joe?
I love that opening night where we lead with Shake and Tobias.
Yep.
let's go with Joel. I mean, like he was absolutely like nowhere for the first half to like 3/4 of the game. Wasn't really doing much. Was like kind of struggling in the post a little bit. They were doubling him pretty hard. He had that one really nice. I love that he got his first bucket on a lob from Ben. I want to see that more often. That's something that we're monitoring of like how many easy looks he gets of that.
By the way, I wrote that down. I feel like that's the first lob I've seen Joel dunk in 2 years. I can't even remember the last Joel lob. Can you?
Not many, but sure, yeah. For sure. I love the step back pump fake on the three that he got Thomas Bryant. Everyone bad is Tobias Harris in my mind. It's just I can't even get off my brain. That he got Tommy Bryant to bite on, but he was like holding the ball too long in the post. They were doubling him from like kind of both sides, which I guess is a triple. And he turned the ball over a couple times, but then Doc comes in, he puts in like only the Joel and shooters lineup for a while.
Yeah. So it was so the first half of the third quarter was a disaster. They didn't score until 6 minutes left. And then they
generally not good.
So they go Shake, what was it? Shake, Mike Scott, Ferk, and Seth Curry. And you could see the space in which he had to operate. They would put him sort of, 12 feet away, facing up, and there was just no one around him. And he just fucking ate like it was indefensible, really. I mean, it was, there is a difference, and that isn't to say that Ben and Joe can't be successful together, but when the four other guys on the court can shoot, there's a difference, and it gave him the opportunity to get going.
I'll just say, like, Washington's defense looked good, which is obviously an indictment on us. I like Thomas Bryant. I think he's a good player. I think he's
he has some big rebounds, actually.
But I would say that like the decision to stop doubling Joel just because there's shooters out there was the wrong decision. Like it was a really bad decision, and it was never rectified because once Joel was not getting doubled, he just went after it every time. It was turned face up, like the mid-range jumper was working. He was pump faking and like dipping in for a little layups inside. He didn't get fouled as much as I thought he probably did, or usually does or will. He only had one preseason game, so it's not like he's in prime form.
Yeah, but I didn't see the rip through move. Yeah, really.
He wasn't all the way showing his diversity of moves down there. But yeah, I mean, he played the entire fourth quarter. I think he came in with like 11:40 to go in the fourth quarter or something, and was just in the whole time. And I think that's they just kept going to him, and Doc just being like, go after him, and for Washington to not double him there is wild. I think Washington's a playoff team. I think they'll be in the playing game. So I don't think this is like so embarrassing that that this game was closer than it should be, but really to me inexplicable, but nice to see that Joel can just can do that. Like we can have a fourth quarter offense that, Shake was operating a lot. I think they let Seth do some dribble handoffs and stuff. But for the most part, that was Joel offense time, like all fourth quarter. And it's nice to see that being successful for an extended stretch.
Joel had 29-14. The 29 points were on 17 shots, 8 of 9 from the free throw line, 1 of 1 from 3. Danny Green, not to jump, but Danny Green barely played. He played.
Yeah, something seemed
minutes.
up. He wasn't good. He was like hesitant from shooting.
Yeah,
he wasn't. He just wasn't doing much. So I don't know if it was a injury or something, or if it was just like I really don't know. But Shake him and Shake were never on the court at the same time. Shake got his minutes. So I think that'll happen sometimes. That happened with the Lakers last year. Like Danny started, and then like KCP would finish a lot of those games. So I think it's not unusual, but he was really like a non-factor after playing a really good preseason.
Ben was okay. I was thinking about it earlier when I was thinking about him and the Harden thing. Is like we will never know this whole thing about him being a point guard or whatever. Like, we'll never know who wanted that or why it's been such an issue. And I think, but what I do think that the fact is that he is so, I think, miscast in that role that it puts, like, it makes him seem like he is not as good as he is. And even if he was to shoot corner threes, right? Like, let's say he shoots corner threes. Let's say he shoots 4 of them a game. That still doesn't make him like a lead perimeter playmaker. It basically makes him like a power forward. You know, that's who that shot. That's who gets that shot. I think if he were to accept it and do that and had like a perimeter playmaker, he would be a really excellent, really, really excellent player. But even in a world where he's playing with 4 guys who are shooting half court offense, I still don't know what it is. He had, a great block. He was in the right place for that dunk. His aggressiveness seemed to come and go. He looked a little sulky to me. I don't know. I mean, look, if rumors are swirling around like me about that every day, I'd probably be way sulkier. So I don't know. He was okay, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think he looked like Ben. I think he 2 games in a row, he's taken like a pretty relatively early jumper and then kind of hasn't gone with it the rest.
Yeah,
he had a quote after the game that he said, like, Dwight is really pushing him to be better and put work in and get to be as good as he can be, which I'm sure means a lot because Dwight played with LeBron last year.
Well, yeah.
There was a quote from the Jackie McMullen article that Ben said, Doc pushes me, like, I'm paraphrasing, but like, Doc pushes me. He like takes it right to me. He said, "Are you going to the fucking rim or what?" a couple of times, which I love. I thank you, Doc, for saying that. And he did. He got to the rim a lot, a couple of times late in the game, off the dribble in the half court, which is relevant because he's always like, a menace going downhill in transition and stuff. But I think that's something that he's been improving steadily, and it's nice to see that. You mentioned the recovery block on Thomas Bryant, meeting him at the rim. That was a huge play. Yeah, that play that Washington's kind of scrambled on that last play that kind of decided the game, where Seth found Ben in the dunker spot. I think it was like an Embiid Seth pick and roll that like Russell like helped off of Ben to go to Embiid because he's just kind of ball watching, and then Ben was kind of just standing right under the rim. That was off a Doc timeout, and Embiid celebrating behind as there's a good picture of that. As Ben is finishing that dunk. I thought he was Ben. I didn't see like any like crazy new stuff, but I think he's a good player. I think he's helpful. I think the team is it's not he's not like a lead ball handler in half court. We know that. I don't think anyone's doing the like, is he a point guard conversation anymore? Like, I think we're all pretty clear on it. Like, he's a unique player. He does what he does. It'd be nice if they had a guy who, if Tyrese Maxey was like 26 and like a little better and he just was the starting point guard on this team, it'd be like, yeah. So Ben sometimes does things from the 4 and sometimes he like runs the offense a little bit, but like, that's what he does. But the fact that the Sixers don't have that guy and haven't for years sort of puts him in that position where his weaknesses are a little bit more exposed. But I think he's, putting him or anybody really into this kind of like box. He's an excellent player. He's physical and active on defense. I love when Ben is covering a guy that he doesn't respect and just kind of like takes the ball from him. And or at least just like pushes him around a little bit. I think that's kind of cool to see as a guy that, he's still pretty young. And so, to be already like sort of offended when lesser players have the ball in his face. Yeah, I mean, this team has weaknesses and Ben is not solely capable of fixing those. But I think he's a really good player, and I think it's just he is who he is, and I think he's slowly not dramatically, but like slowly adding things to his game, and we'll see how confident he gets in his jumper and going to the rim and going to the line more often and all that stuff.
Let's table that. Let's bring that back up when we get back to the Harden thing. All right, Mike. It's everyone's favorite award time for Mike to give out the By Nature Soft Shit Award.
Oh, fuck. All right.
So wait. So earlier today, I'm talking to Mike from By Nature, and I go, the best part about the Soft Shit Award tonight will be when I bring it up. And Mike has no idea that he has to give the award.
Not a chance. All right, let me think about it. Does it have to be within basketball or the Sixers specifically?
No,
Anything?
I would say to keep By Nature out of controversial topics. But
it's a lot of power to give me.
Yeah. Well, here, while you're thinking about it, what I will say, and I'm going to come to you after this, is the reason we have the Soft Shit Award. By Nature, super fusion. What does that mean? This is super healthy food for your dog or for your cat. They use, how's it healthy? Super fusion is premium, like products in the food. Premium proteins, super ingredients, apple cider vinegar, spinach, blueberries, ginger, coconut oil, and they slow cook it. Remember, your pet metabolizes food real quick. They have a short digestive tract. So by cooking it slowly, they get more nutrients. And here's the best part. This comes back to the Soft Shit Award. If, you're going to pick up after your dog, you want it to be a nice, firm, easy to pick up. You don't want it to be soft. Use By Nature, no soft shit. You're going to have the firm stuff. So Mike, who gets the By Nature Pet Food Soft Shit Award?
I feel like I just have to go chalk and say Tobias.
Yeah, I knew it. You were trying not to do it. The slow cooking promotes immune system support, skin and coat support, heart and brain, hip and joint health. And you get your pet By Nature. We put them in the Good Boy or Good Girl Club on the Rights Ricky Sanchez website. We had a bunch of new ones. A cat named Hinky is a Good Boy Club. Bridger, Good Boy Club. Maxwell, Good Boy Club. Bodie, Good Boy Club, and Polly, Good Girl Club. Very, very, very cute pictures. Use the promo code RTRS20 at Chewy for your first By Nature purchase, RTRS20. You're going to get 20% off. Again, RTRS20 at Chewy.com. You'll get 20% off By Nature. It is really good for your pet. Dog, cat, whatever kind of dog, cat you have, big, small, whatever breed, By Nature is perfect. No, the company that owns By Nature, 40 years, family run, no recalls ever. Just amazing. So again, go to Chewy.com, use promo code RTRS20 when you buy By Nature. No soft shit, super fusion, slow cooking, all that. By Nature pet food. Back to the Ricky. And then Maxey looked great. Loves passing to Mike Scott. Tyrese Maxey.
Who doesn't?
Just fucking loves it.
I'm sure Mike Scott is always so happy when he gets the ball and gets to shoot.
Well, I mean, he was so Shake is the first guy off the bench, and then it's Furk and Maxey. Did Thibault even get into the very end of the game when he fouled Beal? Was that the first time Thibault was even in?
They did offense defense with Seth a couple times, which I also love and respect Doc for doing because I'm an offense defense guy. Why not use it? I think that'll be useful for him to be doing that from time to time, coming in and like ends of quarters and intense moments like that. Maxey's awesome. There's no reason. I had him, I forget, like 7th or 6th or 7th something on my board. There is no reason why he fell to 21. I think this is like the kind of thing where like the long gap between like before the draft happened, I think probably hurt his stock a little bit because he's just like a player. There's not anything. If you isolate one part of his game, I think you're probably not going to come away being like, oh, that's like a top 10% elite NBA skill. But just like you watch him play, and he didn't get to do it that much at Kentucky, and he is already a way better like floor general passing point guard than I thought he would be. He's making the easy pass, but he's also making the like whip across court. Like he has vision, and that's really nice to see because that's like, that's the thing that I get most excited about basketball. It used to be defense, now it's passing. Like you can really like when a guy sees the court and can manipulate things and can just like get guys the ball in spots that they're the defense isn't expecting them to be able to make that pass that just like gets so many more easy buckets and stuff. And I love that little give and go with Dwight baseline when he went to finish with the baseline up and under. He had that little like sort of what I was talking about, I think last podcast, where I was like, Shake needs to kind of get in that middle area, that Chris Paul area of the mid range. Like Maxey's already kind of doing that with like floaters and like little like push shots and crafty finishes. He had that like sort of like curling, like looping, like a little righty runner in the lane there. He did have that one sort of fuck it pull up.
Oh yeah,
3 seconds into the shot clock.
Yeah, like from the logo. Yeah,
with Joel on the floor, which I thought was an odd choice, but I was like, all right, let's shoot it. I look forward to him hitting his first three, and I definitely need that. But I mean, for a freshman that didn't come in as like the most polished guy, that was kind of playing a little out of position at Kentucky. You know, our boy Legs said like reference Drew as a touchstone because Drew also played out of position at UCLA behind Darren Collison.
Played two.
His freshman year. Yeah, he played the two. And so like, you know, what you were expecting him to come in as was like a little bit different. And I think they're pretty similar players. I think Drew's a better defensive player and bigger and longer, and probably I would say a little bit better shooter coming in, but about the same. But I think Maxey might have more vision coming in, and I think it's really exciting. Of like, hey, this guy that like fills the exact skill set that we kind of have needed for years. He fell to us at 21, and we have him on a rookie contract for 4 years. Like that's really nice.
Yeah, and his existence allows you to start Shake Milton. You have anybody else?
We're honestly like start Maxey. Like just start him right now. He's a point guard. Bench Tobias. Have him just like teach literature at like Penn. Like. What a nice time that'll be. Maxey,
teach
Curry,
literature.
Green. Yeah, he's an avid reader.
He holds a book. I don't know that.
He loves to read.
Yeah.
Big time reader. I love Maxey. I think he's such a fun guy to watch and root for. I love him in the zero. Like one time he threw the ball to the ref like after I think he stepped out of bounds. And then the ref was moving and didn't see it. And so then like Tyrese like went and picked it up for him and like handed him the ball. It was like he's great. I'm very happy that he's on the team.
A quick Wizards note. Like Westbrook looked like Westbrook to me mostly, but I don't like what it does to Beal. Like if I'm a Wizards guy, it's just like
I agree with that.
There's so much Westbrook, and like it really minimizes a guy that scored like 33 points a game last year. Beal is so good. I don't know. I would split that up a little bit better. I know that's not what Westbrook does, but it feels like they're wasting Beal.
I agree. And also you could say a similar thing about Ben and Joel a little bit in that like Ben and Joel's minutes seem to be overlapped, which Doc also did with George and Kawhi last year. Now the all bench lineup that the Sixers ran kind of kept them in the game in the second quarter. Like really looked very good, and the bench was like excellent for most of the game. Like Korkmaz looked really good. I think he was playing like great defense on a bunch of different guys: Beal, Neto, Westbrook, moving his feet, staying tall, not fouling, and just like moving the ball well. Mike Scott, like everyone, like Dwight, it does what Dwight does. I absolutely have come to respect like his role on this team, and
I'm
as
fine
like
with
a
Dwight,
competent veteran guy, he's going to get a double technical in every single game.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But yeah, I mean, I wonder, like the Sixers' depth was not a strength that people were identifying coming into the season. And so when that bench lineup is not as good as, you know, when they look more lost and the starters are actually playing well, God willing, it'll be a little bit like, hey, why are we dying on this with these, like, you know, Korkmaz is the number one option minutes when Embiid and Simmons are off the court. So that's something to monitor for Doc going forward.
And last thing is I thought Furk looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he looked solid. He looked like he belonged, you know. He's
like he looks like he belongs. I think on both ends. I think he has like gotten his body to a place where he is able to compete defensively. I think he sees the floor well on both ends. I think he was reading the passing lanes a couple times on D. I just think he's got a really good handle for spacing and vision and stuff. His floater is bad.
Yes.
I want it to be better. I would love for him to have some of that like little like Dario European craftiness. I I think it's capable of being there, but maybe there's some opening night nerves and stuff. But yeah, I absolutely belongs. Did you notice that the defense for the Sixers, you could tell Embiid just hated playing like drop pick and roll. He just like hated allowing good shooting point guards like Kemba Walker or whatever to just step right into wide open 16 footers. Jeff Teague shoots 98% on those against Sixers. It didn't seem like that was happening as much tonight, except against Westbrook, who they're fine letting take those shots, although he hit some of them. And I think that the defense was, a couple of guys lost. It's gonna take time for them to like play cohesively, but I was relatively happy with the quality of looks that Washington was getting.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I guess the only thing with Westbrook is they did play pretty far off him. When he steps into like 17 or 18 footers, he's pretty good. Seems like, to my eye, a pretty good shooter there. I thought they were a little lax on him sometimes, but I guess I'd rather have that than him driving past me.
Yeah, for sure. There were a couple of times when it's like, just get a hand up. Like Embiid, I think like does a little taunting type of thing where it's like, fine, I'm not even going to try it. But I think ultimately you're happy with that. The
Furk thing that I like is that Furk can catch the ball here and release it here. Like Furk can catch the ball high for a three and release it high. Like he doesn't need to reset. Like he almost shoots it just from the elbow up. And it seems like he's just got a quick high release, Yeah.
He had a very nice, Embiid kicked it out to him one time and it was a wide pass. And he sort of pretty quickly like caught it, gathered, went up with it as the defender was closing out and hit it. And that was, it's nice. Like having guys on, they should have obviously picked up his option, but like having guys on minimum deals, rookies, like the rookie contracts is just really, really helpful.
Do you remember when he Harden asked
a trade?
push for a trade?
Mm-hmm. It was a little less dramatic than the Harden stuff, but
they were just like, what? No.
it was just no.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay. All right, pal. It was the youngest, family of six, like the 6-year-old kid in the back, in like the backpack with the luggage.
Yeah.
Just being like, hey, can I pee? Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented always by DraftKings Sportsbook. I made my official basketball futures bets for this year. Can you tell me what you think of them? I'll give you the odds.
Sure.
So how many bets did I make? 5. 2 MVP bets. Durant at plus 1,300 for MVP and Lillard at plus 1,600 for MVP.
I like the Lillard one a lot. Durant looked really, really good in that first game. I just think they're probably going to rest him a lot. And like with Kyrie there, it just doesn't feel like they're going to give it to him. But I like that Lillard. I think it's a serviceable bet. I like the Lillard one a lot.
Yeah, I think if the concern about resting Durant wasn't so much, it would be short. He probably seems like a 6-1 guy rather than a 12-1 guy. But
yeah.
Tyler Hero, most improved player at 25-1.
I never have a good handle on most improved.
Yeah,
just feels like it's such an odd award, like the qualifications, and it feels like it's so much about narrative.
And it does seem like they've gotten rid of the shitty guy to good guy. It seems like you can be good and also win it, though. Before, it almost seemed like a comeback player award, if I remember correctly. Yeah. 25-1 feels like there will be attention on him. I don't know. Obi Toppin, Rookie of the Year, 6-1.
Fine.
Yeah. And then
they just might not play him a lot. Like Julius Randle's going to start, It is starting.
And then Bam Adebayo, Defensive Player of the Year at 10-1.
There it is.
You like? Basketball is here, buddy. As we found out tonight, basketball is here. America's top-rated sports book. Another can't-miss offer, DraftKings Sportsbook. To celebrate the return of basketball, they are giving new players 100-1 odds on any featured matchup this week. That's right. You get in there, you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook, use promo code RTRS, you bet $1. They will give you 100-1 odds on any of their featured matchups. Remember, College football playoffs are coming too. Pro football also still happening. Big game for us this weekend. Amazingly, 4-9-1. We have a big game that could be in the playoffs. It's unreal. DraftKings is the only place that you should bet. There was an Embiid boost tonight too, over plus 100 over 7.5 points. It was an easy $25. Anyway, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS when you sign up to get 100-to-1 odds on any featured matchup this week. That's code RTRS for new players to get a shot at $100 on any featured matchup this week for a limited time. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the Ricky. Before we get to Harden, an email, and I think now that the season has started, this is a good question. I think this is for you. This is your expertise. This is from Dan. Spike and Mike, love the pod and the addition of MOC's film breakdown. Great stuff. By the way, that's on the YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. For my mental health, how do you recommend I watch Sixers games this year? A, live. B, wait till the game is over, check the box score, watch the condensed game only if the Sixers won. C, watch the condensed game without checking who won. Or D, other. What is the optimal way to watch the Sixers?
It's tough. And I think it depends on your personality. I think it is they're not a pleasant experience. We're not having a good time. We're not, it's bad for our mental health, which is already fraying at a, rapid rate. I think try it out with this team. Like today's team, like they're obviously different from the last year's team and, teams of the past, but it's a similar feeling still, which makes me think that it's, Ben and Joel. Or just the jerseys are a curse of some ancient demon that we awoke. But yeah, I think maybe safe bet is wait till it's over, watch the condensed game or watch the full game. And I think you could do I think if you wanted, you could do check the box score or not. But I think at least with watching it later, you can fast forward, out of frustration.
What sucks thing for me with League Pass is if you're in market, you can't get condensed game for 4 days or something, or 3 days.
It's a while, yeah.
It sucks. Anyway, all right, Harden. So more Harden nonsense. We've both given our opinions that we would. You're 60-40. Do it with Harden. This is basically what it comes down to for me. If you really want to win a championship, you have two options because this roster ain't doing it. To me, that's my opinion. Is if the Harden trade's even available, who knows? I don't know what the other offers are. If the Harden trade is available, you do that, or you have to use first round picks to get off of Tobias this year and hope that you can find a way to get somebody who can fill that role. That seems a little risky to me. I think those are the only two options, really. If you want to win a championship, is you either have to dump Tobias and wait and hope that you can keep it together as you wait, or you trade, or you get James Harden. And I don't see another way around this. It doesn't seem to me that Shake Milton or let's say either Shake Milton or Tyrese Maxey turns into a player, a high level player that way. It does not seem like that will be soon enough to take advantage of what Embiid is now. And that's just sort of, we can get into the shit that Harden's doing now and how that affects, whatever happens here. But that's sort of where I am on the team and the Harden situation. I would just do it because I don't know what else you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the answer is make no trade or make the Harden trade, right? I think there are multiple situations that could conceive of that's not trading Ben Simmons for Harden or trading Ben Simmons and possibly a bunch of picks for Harden.
I just don't think that they're like a good player away from there. Like, I think that player has to be really good, really good. That's my concern, I guess.
So I don't disagree. In the sense that like their offense, I just think with you watch like regular teams play, and whether that's like, maybe part of it is that like I'm less living and dying on every possession, but like you watch the Kings or, you know, the Warriors, even though they played bad, like you're watching a bunch of things and it's like, wow, that's fluid. Wow, that's movement, all this stuff. The Sixers are never going to be that. Like with Joel Embiid on the team, they're just not going to do it. He's their best player, and they're going to play fast in transition with Ben, sometimes moving the ball, but a lot of times it's going to be like slow and occasionally clunky and physical. But the thing is, I think that also other teams look that way against us for the most part. When this defense is locked in, Danny Green wasn't playing much at all tonight, but I think when this defense is locked in, they also like grind other people down. Mostly because of Joel and Ben. And so I do think that like if you watched a Boston-Brooklyn series, that would be really like exciting, high level offense, fast, not bad defensive teams, especially Boston, like not bad defensive teams at all, but just the way that the Sixers play defense, I think is the way the Sixers play also makes the other team play that way, I think, a little bit. And so in a Sixers-Bucks series or something, that would be ugly as hell. Like that would be physical, grind, post moves, like one-on-one. Like it would not be the beautiful game stuff. And so,
but by the way, I think the Bucks suffer from a similar, not quite as bad situation.
Sure. Until not having seen them this year.
Yeah. But I still know who's on the roster. And if you like, that was the problem with making a Drew Holiday trade. If you're the Sixers, I think Drew Holiday is good, but am I like, hey, in crunch time in the playoffs, I'm rolling with the ball in Drew's hands. I don't think you're winning a championship that way. And that's the problem they've had up until this point is Chris Middleton is good, but he's not good enough. And, you know, Giannis has a little bit of that Ben thing where all of a sudden in the playoffs, it's a lot easier. They've found it a lot easier to defend him. So you
say this thing that like, you're not winning a championship with that person doing that. And I think that's almost always right because most teams are not winning a championship in any given season. And you look at the history and it's been LeBron, one season of Kawhi and a very together Raptors team against an injured Warriors team. And then one of the best teams of all time in that Warriors run. And so like, it's easy to say they're not winning a championship because teams
but hold
don't.
On. There are Dirk Mavs, right? And then there's
I'm just saying the last I would say the modern NBA is the last like what 6-7 seasons kind of like as far as when things have really changed as far as the style of play.
Yeah.
6 or 7, give or take.
Sure.
So it's I don't know. Like I think that until the Sixers, until the next team that is like weird or different, if the Bucks win a championship this year, it's going to be like, well, Giannis is one of the best players of his generation, and he just like brought them there, and that's what we're going to need Embiid to be. Like, I agree that like in a perfect world, the Sixers have a perimeter scorer that can score at all three levels, that has vision, and also is not a pushover defensively. And around those guys, they have shooters that aren't like, you know, incapable of dribbling. That also just have like, but I think like only one team wins a year. And like you could poke holes in that Lakers team last year, just like you could poke holes in that Raptors team last year, just you could poke holes in all the teams that didn't win last year. And I just think like, I don't know that I don't know. I think it's just easy to say that those teams are not winning a championship because 29 teams don't. And so
but
I think the Sixers are. I'm not looking at this team and being like, that's a contender. Like, I'm not there yet. I think they're going to need moves to get there. I think things open up more quickly than we think. And I think as we get to it, I think that like Harden is like imploding. Like there's imploding stuff happening here, and coming into a team that has like a tendency to implode on its own, and bringing that situation in here. Yeah, it could be a Kawhi thing. Yes, it could be a Jimmy thing. I'd be lying if I said, I wouldn't be worried about it. He's going to strip clubs in a pandemic, and now the Rockets' first game was canceled, and it's just like.
Well, the Rockets' first game was canceled because a bunch of dudes on the Rockets went and got a haircut together.
Yeah, for
in
sure,
somebody's apartment. So,
but if they're getting a haircut, then are they getting a haircut because they're seeing fucking James is going out and doing stuff? Well, why shouldn't we? Like, I think that it does unknowable stuff to chemistry, and as the Jackie McMullen piece laid out, and as 100 other things have laid out over the last 5 years of content farms for Sixers drama, like shit's gonna happen.
Yeah, the Jackie McMullen piece was, boy, state-sponsored media, if I've ever seen it. My favorite line was about bringing Simmons and Embiid, them going through losing together is something that they've shared. And I'm just like, Ben Simmons never played on a losing NBA team in his career. I think you might have missed a part of that.
Oh, you mean the process years and stuff?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he hasn't played on a team that's under 500 for the Sixers. Yeah,
that's right.
Look, I would say even beyond the current era, it is difficult to find a team without a elite or borderline elite perimeter player on it that wins a championship. Now, is it possible that I love Zach LaVine, right? I don't think he's that level. Maybe on the right team, he's that level. I don't know. Maybe he is. But
I mean, no one can look at Zach LaVine and say like that's a championship elite level, give the ball to him and get out of the way guy. Like you can't.
Yeah, I guess not. So, and what I will say is, look, the Harden thing is bad choices by him. A lot of people mentioned to me, you hated the way that Jimmy Butler got his way out of Minnesota, right? That was shitty too.
Yeah, this is way worse than that.
I don't know. I think they're both bad. I think embarrassing your teammates in front of the entire country and coaches is pretty bad.
What do you mean embarrassing your teammates in front of the entire country?
Well, he had Rachel Nichols waiting immediately outside of the practice facility.
Sure, but it's not like it was televised. It was in practice, and he was pissed off that they gave Andrew fucking Wiggins all that money, and Karl Towns, who should be one of the best players in the league and doesn't play defense.
He berated,
like, why aren't you paying me?
That's fine, but he berated his teammates. He made his coach look bad, and then he walked out of the practice facility and told a national reporter what he just did.
For sure.
So it was shitty. So all I'm saying is that there is a difference between doing something shitty, which this is, and I would agree, and it does bring the risk of bringing whatever shittiness is. But you said he's like imploding. I think there is a tendency to watch things unfold the way that we watch them within media and perceive them to be different than they actually are. I don't know that it means he's imploding. Like, I know that everyone reports on everything and he wants to get out of there and he wants to make it uncomfortable for them. He's not doing it the right way. I don't even think he's helping his cause. I think he's making it harder for the Rockets to trade him because it's driving the market down. I think it's like a bad decision. I would be worried that it would blow this thing up.
Of course.
But what comes back to me is if they don't figure it out, one thing, it wasn't in this article. I forget which article it was, but it basically pointed out that they didn't hire Ty Lue because Joel Embiid didn't want them to hire Ty Lue.
Yeah.
And I think you can look at this entire offseason here. We've talked about this and say this was an Embiid offseason. Like they did this for him. And I can tell you that it is my sense that there's a little bit of impatience from that end because of the years that they feel like were wasted, and the short window they might have with Embiid. And I just worry that while there is the chance of it blowing up if Harden, I recognize that possibility that he's just like, he is a little too fuck it maybe to win a championship. It's certainly possible. But I also look at the possibility, like if they don't take advantage of this, one of those two guys is gone anyway, and it might end up worse for us. So I think that's a hard decision they have to make.
No, I'm like, I keep going back and forth. Like, I think he's obviously an excellent player. And when Kawhi was sitting out in San Antonio, there were people that didn't want him here.
Yeah.
And people that didn't want him everywhere.
He sat out for a whole year.
When Jimmy was doing what he was doing, there were people that didn't want him, like multiple places, like over and over again. And those are the back-to-back Eastern Conference champions. Those guys, in the first year that they got to the place that they got, they won the Eastern Conference championship, and one of them won an NBA Finals. And so I feel it.
That's
like,
a good point.
I feel the like desire to be like, it's fucking James Harden. Are we serious? He wants to get out of there. When he comes here, maybe it'd be better. But there's just no way to know, because he is alienating his teammates. He has alienated his teammates in lesser ways over many years.
By the way, we do have
in
the
a system
guy
that was like
built
built for him, in a system that like he is the system. Like
Yeah.
they like arranged everything for him. He is allowed to be late to everything. And he was, and now he's like, yo, the culture here is fucked up. It's like, that's you, man. That's your culture. So, I mean, I'm sure there's things he hasn't like made the case for why what he wanted to happen in Houston didn't happen. And then what's wrong with it now? It seems like he's just like, yeah, it's just bad here. But it's like, without taking any ownership or responsibility. It's not like it's not like he's Kyrie,
Right.
who I obviously don't like. Kyrie, like in Cleveland, he's 31. He's my age. And it's like, I go back and forth. I go back and forth all the time. In my mind, not knowing, like, you know, it's nice to be able to trust the Sixers front office in a way that we have not for many years.
Yeah. Especially in this case, by the way, given who it is and where that
Exactly.
person came from.
Given
right?
who it is, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Doc has his own opinions, having worked with, you know, a ton of stars over the last, 12 years in Boston and both iterations of the Clippers contending teams. It's a lot. I would want to know, I would explore other options that are what keeps more of the team intact, maybe trades future picks with, whether it's with Tobias or with just like a slop of guys, whatever it is, to get like a little bit more of a fit thing. But, you know, we talked about fit coming into this season, and it's been 3 games. Obviously, 2 of them are preseason. One of them Embiid didn't play. Like we're dealing with not that much information here. But I will say, like, and you obviously agree, doesn't look like a championship team yet, and really doesn't look that different from last year's team. Yeah. I think the vibes are good. Obviously, we're huge vibes guys now. It's all about the vibes.
You've been known as you're like the body language doctor,
Mr. Vibe. Yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah. And so I think like it could get better, but like, you know, it's early, and it was a shortened preseason and shortened off season, and we're in a pandemic and all the fun stuff that like maybe it gets better over the course of time. And Embiid obviously looks better, and everyone seems to be committed to the team and everything more than they were last year, for sure. But it still feels like it's missing. And the question is it missing enough where you can like move a couple pieces around and get a good guy that just like open things up? Or is it like, we need to get James Harden, or we're never winning a championship with Embiid? And that's the tough question. It's not an easy answer.
Yeah, I'll just give him credit. Kevin basically, you know, that was his question, was about the idea of bringing him here and what the potential problems vibe wise was. I might as well, we got a few good Harden emails. Jim from First Class, who was actually first class on the way to Indiana. He accidentally got first class.
Jim from First Class.
Yeah, that's how he sends his emails.
Wow.
He says, with the tweets flying and the rumors swirling, I find myself wondering about Joel's involvement in this whole situation. Do you think he has any say in whether a deal for Harden gets done? Not sure if he has that kind of clout with the new front office that would allow him to veto a trade of this magnitude. What do you guys think? My guess is they probably get a sense from Team Joel what they think. I don't know if it's like, I don't think it's not like LeBron veto power. I don't think he's at that, but if they went to him and he was like, absolutely not, do not trade X, I think they would seriously consider. They would say, well, that means that we might not be able to get Y. And he goes, fine, don't trade X. I think they would take that seriously. I think that's where it is.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And then his as non-basketball question is just basically talking about us. Are you aware of another NBA podcast on the same level as the Ricky? I'm talking about another independent podcast about a specific team that is not directly affiliated with another media company. Do you know of any? Isn't there a Lakers one that's big? Lakers something? Is there a big Lakers podcast? No?
I don't know.
You don't know? All right. I thought you might know.
I'm a television writer. This is what I do now. I pop in, I airmail in, and then I let everybody else handle the. I'm just I'm riffing. This is me riffing.
Kevin also asked if either of us had seen Sound of Metal with Riz Ahmed, and I thought it was great. I don't know if you've seen it. Mike, the Spike Lee of the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast, Mike Weber, sent it to me. Told me to watch it. It's good. You should watch it. And final Harden email. This is a good one. This is from Matt. Do you think the Sixers should also weigh their decision on what their competition will likely do? What I mean is that trading for Harden not only gives you his on-court abilities, it also sends Simmons to Houston and out of the East for the next few years. If they don't trade for Harden, he could go to the Nets, the Heat, maybe even the Celtics, or a mystery team in the East gets him. That leaves us with our current team and their okay chances now with an extra hurdle in the way. So does that enter into your calculus that if you don't trade for him, Miami does? Or if you don't trade for him, the Nets do?
Not in a send Simmons to the West way. Mm-hmm. That's not something you could think of. But I do think if you're thinking of, if the Sixers think that they are in that, hovering around the first tier, which is a loose tier. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there are like clearly defined ones. I think after Milwaukee lost last year and Miami had a good bubble, but like, does that sustain itself? Brooklyn obviously looks very good, like really, really good, but concerns just with health and stuff. So I think there's a vague top 6-ish up there. I think if you're like, hey, we think we're there, but if Miami goes and gets this guy, or if Brooklyn goes and gets the guy, or one of the other ones, then it's like, or Boston, then it's like, yeah, I think if it's an either or, I think you have to factor it in. But ultimately, you have to do what's best for your team. But I think if it's like, we got to get this guy, so they don't. Yeah, I mean, I do it in fantasy football all the time. It's got to be the same thing.
Same thing, right?
Got to be.
All right. First, I want to talk about this documentary, the Karen Morey documentary, and then one mailbag question is directly aimed at you, and I need your opinion. So Karen Morey, Daryl Morey's daughter, tweets out, what do I need to understand about Sixers fans? I can't wait to get to Philly. I ask because I'm wondering what documentary I should work on when I get there. She wants to do a Sixers-related documentary. And aside from documenting the last 7.5 years of this podcast, what do you think would be an interesting story surrounding Sixers or
Can't
Sixers
think of any.
culture?
Can't think of any. Don't know any. It's been a pretty uneventful most of a decade. I mean, there's, it depends on what the angle. I mean, the process documentary is going to be made at some point, whether it's by, a 30 for 30 type of thing or some more outside, whatever. I'm sure there's actually probably multiple that are going to be made.
All better feature us. Or
Joel, just a straight up Joel documentary. Like, he's obviously had a very interesting and occasionally heartbreaking life. There's a ton of stuff. Obviously Burnergate, it could have its own thing.
Yeah, I don't think she would do that one.
Probably not. I don't know her aesthetic, so I don't know what her interest is, but
Team Dogs.
There's a lot of good stuff, I think, or just, Philadelphia has its own share of unique things that could be highlighted in documentaries that don't have to do with the Sixers, because we have enough of the Sixers, maybe.
A Philly one. I would love a documentary on, so in movies, they always make the Philly accent sound like New York.
Terrible.
It's terrible. I would love a doc on the Philly vernacular and accent. Like, I would love a breakdown of Tommy from Down the Shore and Tony T in a serious documentary.
So the guy who, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but one of the finalists in The Bachelorette this season is from South Jersey.
Okay.
And follows, somebody tweeted at both of us about him, and he follows Liberty Ballers on Twitter. So he's like at least vaguely aware of the Sixers internet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to get him on the podcast.
Oh, sure.
And before knowing where he's from, you could hear him talk, and it's just like, it's extremely South Jersey. It's just like the vibe is baseball player from South Jersey. You're just like, okay, I have a real handle on it. And I just wonder how that, talking to my friends who watch the show also, it's always very interesting of like, how does that land with you? How does this like type of person, what are you feeling as you see this human being?
Yeah.
And it's always very funny.
I don't know if I've ever told on the pod. I remember, because I don't really have much of an accent anymore. When I got to Syracuse, it was, so freshman year, I go to USC. I don't take any journalism classes or anything, no broadcasting classes. Then I go to Syracuse and I took a radio class, and I had to record myself and listen back. And I listened back compared to everybody else in the class. And I was like, holy fuck, what is wrong with how I talk? And I changed it that year. I never went back. Yeah.
Just like that.
And one email, we have so many great emails. We're going to do like a year-end episode. We'll try to get some emails this weekend. But this one I feel like we have to get to, because you did address looks a little bit on the last pod. Writes to rickysanchez@gmail.com is where you email us. This comes from Brian. I knew the Sixers had hired Sam Cassell as an assistant coach, but it wasn't until I saw him on the bench tonight that I found out they added Popeye Jones too. This got me wondering, is team-wide handsomeness or lack thereof the new market inefficiency Morey's analytics have uncovered? Attractiveness was clearly a priority for the last regime. Now Brett, Allen, Josh are all gone, and Elton is no longer the handsome face of the front office. Is there a benefit to having ugly coaches to lower overall team attractiveness that we're not seeing? Not to mention, we got the uglier Curry. I can't help but think there's something to this.
Yeah, I mean, like the last season was like pure fuckboy situation. Everybody off on their own, being
they
hot.
Put Matisse on the bench.
They put Matisse on the bench. Had to. Too much vlogging for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely many ugly assistant coaches. I don't think I mentioned it on the podcast, but Ime Udoka, very handsome man.
Yes.
No longer with the team.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it absolutely is a market inefficiency. And, we played Howell Neto tonight. Very handsome man, no longer with the team.
Lost.
And the Sixers won. And so I think that, I think so far so good. It'll take some time to sort of peel away just the we're hot as fuck vibes that the team carries himself with. But once they come into like, hey, you're sort of underdog, maybe like we're hot, but like got into like a devastating accident type of vibes, like as a full team, not like anyone individual, but like some sort of like, a tragic fire or like a car accident, like that made them like, hey, you used to be hot, but now you look like this. Like that, play with that level of energy, I think would really help things.
Yeah, I think that's a good thought. I thought today I got to put the request in to have Dan Burke come on the pod. I want to talk to Dan Burke. I want to talk to him about TJ. I want to talk to him about when he heard the chants, and I want to bring this up to him. Hey, you guys are fucking just nothing to look at.
I'm sure he'd love that. Yeah, seems like a really genial guy, down to hang.
Okay, so the Sixers don't play again until Saturday, right? No, we have Christmas off. Saturday night, the Knicks, I believe. So I guess we got to do the pod. I guess we got to do the pod on Sunday, right?
Sure.
All right. So Sunday morning, that'll be, I think the last one. Oh no, we have two more before the end of the year. Anyway, if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. Be safe, be happy, be healthy, love your friends and your family, and take care of everybody. And Sixers won, undefeated, on pace to go 82-0.
Another moral loss.
Yep.
What a great feeling.
Yeah.
Ugly win. The next time they win in like a very satisfying fashion will be 8th satisfying win of my lifetime.
Well,
like I just can't. There's been so few.
I was about to say the Christmas game last year against the Bucks, but
the Bucks, yeah.
But you remember at the last 7 minutes of that game, it got a little like uncomfortable. They hit a bunch of threes. It got close, but yeah, that one sticks out. The Clippers game, the Shake Milton game. Yeah, there's not a lot of them. There's not a lot of them.
There's a couple games that satisfying wins where it's like this is a tough game.
Yeah,
and they won in a very satisfying way. There haven't been many. I would say a couple Jimmy Butler games, but even like he hit a game winner to be like the Hornets. Like that didn't feel great.
Yeah,
like there's like there
the
were
Nets too.
Too many. Yeah, it's definitely single digits. Like, games in my lifetime that have been really satisfying wins. It's single. The Raptors series, obviously, I think what was it, Game 3?
Yeah,
Game 3 of the Raptors series.
Wings, yeah.
with the Embiid windmill dunk in the lane. That's definitely the last satisfying win that I've had in anything in my life for sure.
AU wrote about the 0-18, 15-16 team, and I mentioned I almost cried when they beat the Lakers. That felt so good when they went 1-18.
Then I won't fuck with you.
All right,
it's been around.
We'll talk to you this weekend. Are you down with TTP?
Then I won't fuck with
you. Yeah, you know, lick face.
If you don't fuck with me, then I won't fuck with you.
If you don't fuck with me,
then I won't fuck with you.
But if you fuck with me,
I'm gonna fucking kill you!
Time for plan B.